The headlines are buzzing with a chilling narrative. Reports suggest Iran has issued a stark ultimatum to the Gulf states, demanding they choose America or your oil, with the ominous warning that both paths lead to destruction. While the 48-hour time frame may be a dramatic interpretation of regional tensions, it captures the essence of a very real and dangerous strategic dilemma. The relationship between Iran and the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC, led by Saudi Arabia and the UAE, has been defined by decades of ideological rivalry and proxy conflicts in Yemen, Syria, and Iraq. At the heart of this latest escalation is a push-and-pull dynamic where the United States serves as the primary security guarantor for the Gulf, while Iran seeks to dismantle that influence to assert its own regional dominance. When Iran speaks of choosing America, it is highlighting the price of alliance. From Tehran's perspective, the U.S. military presence in the Middle East is an existential threat. By pressuring the Gulf states to distance themselves from Washington, Iran is signaling that continued military cooperation with the West makes these nations legitimate targets for retaliation. Conversely, the choice of oil refers to the extreme vulnerability of the Gulf's economic lifeline. The global economy relies on the flow of energy through the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow waterway where 1/5 of the world's oil and LNG passes daily. Iran has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to threaten this choke point through naval mines, fast attack boats, and coastal missiles, effectively telling the Gulf that their wealth is only as secure as Iran allows it to be. The both destroy you element of the script reflects a sophisticated double bind. Iran argues that total reliance on the U.S. leads to perpetual regional instability and potential war, while a focus on oil exports without Iranian permission leaves their economies open to sudden collapse via a blockade of the strait. This narrative is designed to build leverage as Iran seeks relief from crippling U.S.-led sanctions. By signaling that if Iran cannot export oil, no one can, Tehran is attempting to force the international community to choose between economic stability and the continued isolation of the Iranian regime. This brinkmanship is further complicated by the Abraham Accords, which have seen several Arab nations normalize ties with Israel, creating a new anti-Iran security axis that Tehran is desperate to fracture. However, the reality on the ground is more nuanced than a simple ultimatum. The GCC is not a monolith. While some states remain hawkish, others like Qatar and Oman maintain pragmatic diplomatic channels with Tehran. Even Saudi Arabia and the UAE have recently engaged in direct talks with Iran, recognizing that a purely military solution is unsustainable. Meanwhile, the United States is facing its own dilemma. It wants to reassure its allies, but is also attempting to pivot its strategic focus toward the Indo-Pacific and China. This has led the Gulf states to pursue greater strategic autonomy, diversifying their partnerships with powers like China and Russia, while building up their own domestic defense capabilities to avoid being caught in the crossfire of a U.S.-Iran confrontation. Ultimately, the situation in the Persian Gulf is not a single ticking clock event, but a continuous cycle of posturing and high-stakes diplomacy. A full-scale conflict or a total closure of the Strait of Hormuz would be a global catastrophe, sending shockwaves through every corner of the international energy market and supply chain. As the region moves toward a more multipolar reality, the Gulf states are forced to navigate a treacherous path, balancing their historical security ties with the West against the geographic reality of living next door to an assertive and heavily armed Iran. The ultimatum is a symptom of this struggle, serving as a reminder that in the modern Middle East, energy security and military alliances are two sides of the same volatile coin.